listening to
Clear the Mechanism.
The Robbie Rose Show. The Robbie Rose Show.
Yo, what up, guys? Robbie Rowland here, host of The Robbie Rose Show. Got a Q&A podcast for you guys in which we'll talk about inconsistent velocities, throwing cutters as a primary fastball, returning from Tommy John surgery, and seeing a decrease in velocity early on in the season. But before we dive into it, I want to first and foremost thank you guys for listening. I want to encourage you guys, if you have yet to subscribe, to subscribe. And then I want to encourage you guys once more to allow me to improve as a podcaster. I'd appreciate you guys if you could leave a written review on whatever platform you're listening to it on, and just let me know, what you guys thought, how I can get better, what you guys liked, what you didn't like, and then, develop a podcast in which makes it 100% for you guys, in which you don't have to skip when I talk. All right, so a couple things I want to highlight here in the pre-roll is I want to reward my podcast listeners, and the way that I want to do that is I've been getting a lot of mechanical analysis requests lately. So if you're a listener of this show, I can get you guys a 20% discount on the mechanical analysis, which is a service that's completely online. You send me multiple videos of your delivery, and then I look over those deliveries, slow it down, draw on it, and write kind of a customized report on how we can optimize that. Optimize your delivery to not only like just throw harder, increase power output, throw with better command, all of these things which I am pretty passionate about within the delivery. So I can get you guys a 20% discount. Head over to the show notes at therobbieroseshow.com/QAPod6. Claim your discount on that if you're interested in signing up for an analysis. And then the second thing is we're going to talk a lot about velocity within this, which is obviously the most popular topic within the industry today. And I want to include all of the content that I have on velocity in the show notes as well. So if you want more velocity stuff, I'll include everything that I've written about on velocity in the show notes, therobbieroseshow.com/QAPod6. And I think that's all I got for you guys. Much love. I appreciate you guys for listening. I love that I get a ton of, whether it be Instagram DMs or emails about how you love the show and this and that, and you love what I'm doing. And dude, I can't tell you enough like how much that honestly means to me. I could get 100 hate emails or 100 hate comments, but like if I get one comment that says, yo, I'm so benefiting from what you're doing, like it makes it all worth it. And on that note, like if you're somebody that wants, needs an answer, needs advice, needs, some type of instruction, coaching, whatever, reach out to me via my email. Contact robbierowe@gmail.com. I'll include my email within the show notes as well, just because I looked at my Instagram DMs, man, and they're pretty flooded, and it's just hard with Instagram, being that it's on a phone. But I'm just making excuses. But the biggest thing to take away is if you have a question, if there's any way I could help whatsoever, shoot me an email. There's a contact me button on my website. Get in touch. Let me know how I can help. All right, we're gonna dive right into it. So first question here of the Q&A podcast, the sixth installment of the Q&A podcast is, hey Robbie, I had a question about using pitches. I'm a senior in high school and recently learned how to throw a cutter. I noticed I've been getting a lot more weak contact off that than my regular four-seam fastball. What are your thoughts on using the cutter as a primary fastball? Yo, what up, dude? Good question. There's going to be some variables there, right? Like, I mean, you talk to a lot of guys, that have success and have really good feel with a cutter. They're going to say, like, there's no point in throwing a four-seam fastball. Now, it's going to depend. I know you said you're a senior pitcher in high school. I would ask you, like, what is your goal? Are you trying to pitch after high school? Are you trying to go to college? What level? And are you going to play summer ball and all of these other things? Because I think the higher you go up, and I'm not trying to sit here and overcomplicate it, but the higher you go up and advance, hitters, once they see a certain pitch multiple times, they're going to get a good distinction of how to approach that. I know in high school it's really easy. I'm not trying to say that your cutter's not good or any of your stuff is not good. I'm just trying to put you in a better position to have success the higher you go. Again, this is kind of goal orientated as well. But, if you're going to be primarily cutter, are you a starter or are you a reliever? Obviously, when you flip the lineup over multiple times as a starter, that's when we can have the conversation of, okay, maybe we need to vary looks. And what I mean by vary looks is basically just change up what the hitter's perceiving, right? So that's when you can talk about having a cutter that's going away from a righty into a lefty, and then maybe a two-seam that's doing the exact opposite of that when you talk about X factor, stuff like that. But yeah, man, I think the cutter could definitely be used as a primary fastball. It depends on how much you're manipulating the cut on the pitch, how much energy and emphasis are you having behind the baseball when you throw it, and what are the speed differentials and is it a different pitch altogether? There's been times in my career where I've actually just thrown a four-seam fastball that had cut. And that was my primary, So I think it depends. There's a lot of variables there that we just touched on. If you want to take a deeper dive, I got a service pitch grip service that we can sign up, do a consult on, and we can take a little deeper dive into it. But hopefully, what I said made sense, dude. And I'd encourage you to, take a long look at that and see what your goals are. Like I mentioned, at the beginning, was because I think a lot of it has to do with your goals and your position where you are right now. But yeah, man, good question. You're on the right track. Best luck to you in your senior season. And I think just to piggyback a little bit off that response to the cutter is we live in a day and age now with all the advancements in technology, and I would, if there's any way possible in which you can kind of see the pitch at release and get a really good indication for what that, hand, finger, arm path is doing, I think that will dictate on if you should throw it a lot or not, if that makes sense. So I'm not huge on the idea and the concept of really young, and I know he's a senior in high school, but I don't want, maybe like a freshman to get this and kind of start thinking about throwing this, because I know I struggle with this as well. As like when I was young, I was like, okay, I'm going to throw a cutter because it's nasty. Look at Mariano Rivera. He throws one pitch and everyone gets out. So as soon as I started thinking about throwing a cutter, what happened was it kind of molded into like a slider. And obviously at the time we didn't have, Edgertronics or super slow-mo. So I was really throwing, this quote unquote cutter, which was a slider a lot of the time. And, that could be pretty devastating, I think, for somebody that is young and trying to develop, because you're throwing this pitch that, your finger pressure is not getting behind the baseball. You're off to the side. You're trying to manipulate it, especially with young guys. Again, I did this as well, is, you want that break, that movement, that pitch movement to be so big because you don't want anyone to hit it. And then when people do start hitting it, you try to manipulate the movement even more, and you don't trust that the ball's cutting. Cutters there's a fine line. So I just wanted to kind of, piggyback, like I said, off that, just to be crystal clear. So, you guys can get a pretty good idea. But like I said, if anyone is listening to this that wants a deeper dive into like pitch grip and pitch execution analysis, I'll include a link in the show notes to the consultation service that I provide, in which we can, get on a FaceTime or a Skype call and go over more stuff in detail about pitch grips and pitches and how to hold it and all that stuff. So hopefully that makes sense. I will also include a breakdown on a cut fastball that I did. I believe it was Corbin Burns from a pretty long time ago, but I did a full breakdown on his cutter and some pretty good stuff in that breakdown. I'll include that in the show notes as well, just for you guys interested in that. You can head over to therobbyroseshow.com/QApod6. All right, on to question number 2. Hey, Robbie, love the content and tips you give about how to be a complete pitcher. I haven't seen any videos about my dilemma, so I thought I'd ask. The issue I have is being consistent on the bump. Some outings I will feel great and sit 90-94, and other outings I'll feel great and sit 95-98. In the O's outings, I'm usually pissed about something and take it out on my catcher's glove. My question is, how can I be at my best more often than once in a while? Should I get myself riled up and angry? If so, how? That's the name of the game, right? I mean, that's why those guys on TV that you see, the elite of the elite, are so freaking impressive, man, because not only are they really, really good, but they're really, really good on a consistent basis. You know what I mean? But good question, dude. Obviously, the stuff is there, and I think it's good that you're asking these types of questions regarding how to be consistent. So, my biggest piece of encouragement, man, is I tell everyone this, and it starts at an early age, man. Is like you got to identify where and when you're at your absolute best, and I think you've already done that. The question for you just might be how, and that's going to be something that you got to identify, man. Because, dude, if you're 5 to 8 and you're sitting there saying like, okay, well, I'm 5 to 8 because I'm pissed and I'm trying to take it out on the catcher's mitt, then you just need to have that mentality. Whatever that's going to be, dude. Like that's going to be when you're at your best. So figure that out. I mean, I can give you suggestions, I can sit here and say this and that and this and that. And, but at the end of the day, dude, it's going to be on you to figure that one out. But I think you're already there, dude. Like, obviously I can sit here and say, hey, just pitch, pissed off. But it's about how to go about that. Another thing that popped into my head when I was first like thinking about this was like, what are you thinking about? I know you said, you're usually pissed about something. Is it something that like occurred during the game, or like pissed about the hitter you're facing, or whatever the case may be? Because, I think you just need to replicate that in the sense of like just taking all of maybe your life experience and your past experience of, all the times you've been super pissed, dude, and just think about that. You watch guys, dude, in the big leagues, like, the first thing that comes to my mind is Chris Paddock. I don't know if you watch Padres at all, but like he's a rookie, dude, and like you watch him pitch, and it's like he is at his absolute best when he's pissed, dude, and he looks like he's freaking pissed. And for me, it's funny because it's like the exact opposite. I tried to be a guy that like pitched pissed off and was like, hey, don't talk to me, I'm pitching today. And I was actually worse. So I had to identify like a little bit later in my career, like, okay, I was at my best when I was like having fun, dude. And I was like laughing out there and joking around and just, enjoying the game. But yeah, man, I mean, obviously there's no really like right or wrong answer. It's going to be, all on you to figure that out, dude. Maybe listen to some like hardcore Metallica music before the game. I don't know, something to get you going. And yeah. Hopefully that helped a little bit. But yeah, man, figure that stuff out quick, man, because 5 to 8 is going to freaking play no matter where you are. So best of luck to you, brother. All right, going to the next question. Hey, Robbie, I have a bone spur and 2 tears in my UCL. So in about 3 weeks, I'll be needing UCL reconstructive surgery, which is known as Tommy John. I am writing this question to you since I know that you battled with similar surgeries, with similar amount of time off. However, my goal is to be back by June 18th and become the fastest person to ever reaching the return to pitching, which is 222 days. I could miss that day by over 50 days and still be the 5th ever fastest to pitch in a game after surgery. However, my question is, besides PT, eventually going back to Cressy's, my gym, when I can, what are some things I can do to be getting better? I will almost indefinitely need to go to a postgraduate school to try and play college now, but still want to be the best that I can next season. Thoughts? Yo, what up, man? So first of all, thank you for the kind words, man. I appreciate you, and appreciate you reaching out, man, and checking off all the boxes. But the biggest piece of advice that I would give you, dude, and this is not to say that I don't appreciate and respect an individual that has goals as far as, coming back on, the fastest time ever. I want to be really crystal clear. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I just want you to understand that when it comes to the injury process, for me personally, because this is something that I did with my first surgery in 2016 with my elbow, I had bone spurs as well. And so what I did was like, okay, first thing my instincts told me was to like challenge the status quo, exactly kind of what you're doing. And so I put like a deadline on it and said, okay, I need to be back by like this date. I'm going to shoot for this date. And what happened was like, I don't know if this is just me and my personality trait, and I'm sure everyone's different in that regard, but I set a goal just like you're doing, trying to come back early. And each and every day that I would have like a bad day in rehab, and trust me, there's going to be bad days, I would get really, really discouraged. And that's not even to say, that I was like showing my discouragement. I would just get like subconsciously discouraged because I had a set date that I wanted to return by. And every day that went by that was, not really that great, it really affected my mentality. And I think the biggest thing when it comes to rehab, and any time that you're healing from an injury, dude, is like you gotta be completely 100% like positive, and that's kind of the hardest part, dude. Is the body, for me personally, I don't know if this is like science backed or whatever, but like the body responds and recovers really, a lot better, when things are positive and you're happy and you're expressing joy than it would be if you were depressed or struggling with like the anxiety of it all and all that. So that's my biggest piece of encouragement, dude, is like yeah, it's great to set goals, but maybe think about setting goals as like each individual week goes by. Don't set your sights so far down the road, because like I alluded to earlier, man, it could weigh on you emotionally. But like I said, everyone's different. Everyone responds differently to that, and you're going to know yourself better than anyone. And if that's something that's going to motivate you, then that's going to motivate you. But as far as anything else that you can be doing, man, I'll include a link to a post that I just made on a pitching talk segment of the rehab process. I'm sure you probably already checked it out. I know you check out a lot of my stuff, but I'll include that link. And just to kind of echo what I mentioned in there is find things that you can challenge yourself with, man. Whether it be like the littlest things is don't forget about what makes you an athlete, and that's like that love of competition. So finding like little tiny things throughout your day that you can compete with yourself, and obviously be smart about it where you're not blowing out and getting hurt and whatnot. But I think the more that you can kind of keep up that natural athletic competition within your daily life, you can maybe express more joy. I know that's something I struggle with too. My first go around with surgery is I kind of lost my identity because I wasn't really competing with anything. So hopefully that helps, brother. Best of luck to you. And yeah, man, let me know if there's anything else I can help with. And I'm going to include in the show notes a segment that I did on returning from injury and like the rehab process and stuff. So if you're someone listening to this that does grind through that or is going to grind through that, I did a segment on that rehab process. I will include that in the show notes as well. A lot of good stuff in there. I think for those of you guys who've been following me for a while, you know that I've grinded through, a couple surgeries now, and it's no fun. So I'll include that in the show notes. Head over there, and you'll see all that content. All right, so advancing to the final question of the Q&A podcast, number 6. Hey, Rob, we've been following you for a while now, and I love your stuff. Quick question, man. Over the summer, I was 89.92 consistently, and I've taken time off since August. I just threw my first pen today after about 2 weeks of playing catch with a couple long toss days in between. During my pen, I couldn't even scratch 85. I know it's because I've taken time off, but do you think I've completely lost that 89.92 velo? I'm looking for a professional contract in the spring and hope to God I can get it back up there. Just wanted to hear your thoughts. What's going on, man? Hey, great question, dude. This is actually something that I've struggled with in the past as well. And not even just because it's been like my first bullpen. I've struggled with like bullpen velocity in general. I don't know if you hear about like guys being just big time adrenaline dudes who, throw a certain way in practice and bullpens and stuff. And then once they get in the game, it's like freaking plus 10. I've seen a lot of those guys. And the thing is, dude, is like, as you probably know, it's like it weighs on you emotionally, and mentally too, because you see those low velocities and like we work so hard to gain that velocity. And when it's not there, you kind of start like sensing that panic, right? So I think the biggest encouragement that I would give you, dude, is like, just be patient, man. Like, and I know it's so easier said than done, but that's the reality of it, dude, is like, you're going to have to just make sure that you're focusing on the things that you can control and just checking off all of those boxes, dude. And if you do that, I think that gives you kind of a more, self-confidence about the overall process. And another thing, like, not even to mention, dude, it was your first pen, right? I believe you said it was. Yeah, I just threw my first pen after 2 weeks of playing catch. And another thing, man, like, I didn't even realize that until I'm just reading it now. But you said you only penned. Or no, you penned after only 2 weeks of catch with a couple long toss days. So for me, that's where we start, like, looking at the danger side of it. I'm going to link a podcast with, I just did a podcast with Alan Jager and Dr. Heenan, and there's some really good tidbits in there about how to really approach that dynamic of, your long toss, your pull downs, your catch play, and then when you should blend in the mound. Because, dude, if you're not full capacity of your arm strength, and then you get on the mound, for me personally, that's when bad habits creep in, and your body's not really able to handle that load, because you really haven't trained at max power output. So I would look at that, dude. But yeah, hopefully that makes sense. If you get a chance to listen to that podcast, it's probably like an hour and some change. But again, dude, there's some really good information in there about, like, the particular topic that we're talking about. But yeah, dude, hopefully you can take something from that. But, again, just to reiterate, like, patience is a virtue, man. Keep checking off all those boxes that you can possibly check off. Do all the little things that you can do, and have that, instill confidence within you, and just keep on keeping along. All right, brother. Best of luck to you. And I want to piggyback off that just a little bit too, because I'm coming back. I think a lot of you guys know I'm coming back from, pretty brutal injury in a lat tear and the lat surgery, which is, up to a year, even more recovery time. And I'm just starting to get, like, off a mound, and like, I feel really good. My arm feels good. I'm not like recovering as best as I want. Obviously, with any surgery, the recovery time takes a while. I'm nowhere near, game ready. But, I just got off a mound a couple days ago and had a velocity and had the gun on, and, like, I was 90-92 in my bullpen. And it's funny because we sit here and, like, okay, I'm working so hard and I'm doing all this and I'm long tossing this much, and then, you get on the mound and it's like, I'll be honest, dude, I was going at, like, maybe 90%, which I know is not 100, and I should be. I'm excited about where I was at, and don't get me wrong, but it's like you look back at it and you're like, man, I was thinking like 95 to 100, and then you get those numbers. So what I'm trying to say is, the velocity thing can weigh on you so much when it comes to, like, your mentality. And I always encourage guys, man, do whatever you can to just find a way to be confident and just keep on keeping on. I know it sounds so cliche, but just stick to that process and do the things you can control. And I'm telling you, like, good things will happen. But don't let that velocity, the loss in velocity, like, it discourage you to where you don't work harder than you should, or don't work as hard as you should. So, take it from me. It's not a linear progression, and I know everyone wants it to be, and we do so much work to, get to where our goals are, and it still doesn't happen sometimes. But, what's the flip side, right? We don't do it. So wanted to encourage guys with that one today. But that's going to wrap it up for today's Q&A pod. If you haven't subscribed to the show yet, be sure to do so and share this with someone. Maybe there's a question in here that someone has that you can help out by sharing this podcast with them. So as always, much love. Appreciate you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day, and stay locked in on all my social channels for new and upcoming content. And like I previously mentioned, I'll include all the links that I talked about this episode in the show notes over at therobbieroshow.com/QA pod 6. God bless, guys. See ya.